Everyone knows Brazil, or at least they think they do. Rio, the beaches, the parties, and of course, football. But after 11 years traveling the world, I wanted something more personal. I came back not just to visit, but to reconnect with my roots, my culture, and the parts of Brazil most people never see. That search brought me here, a tiny town known for UFO sightings, spiritual seekers, and the kind of nature that makes you feel like you've landed on another planet. It's wild, it's remote, and it's one of the most extraordinary places I've ever been.
Place to be.
This is Chapada dos Veadeiros. Chapada dos Veadeiros, tucked away in the state of Goiás, is one of Brazil's most breathtaking natural treasures. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, it's known for its surreal landscapes, crystal clear waterfalls, and an endless network of hiking trails.
Exatamente.
It's a haven for nature lovers, adventurers, and anyone chasing that mix of beauty and energy you can actually feel in the air.
Chapada dos Veadeiros, you are a must-do. Goiás, Brasil.
There are a few towns to base yourself in: São João, Cavalcante, and Alto Paraíso, where I stayed. It's about a 3-hour drive from Brasília, which is Brazil's capital. And me, well, I didn't have a car, but luckily I met Eduardo at my hostel, and he offered me rides every single day. Absolute legend.
I arrived last night at the hostel and I was thrown into this trail. It's like, oh, we have an extra spot. Do you want to go? I said, okay. And trail is pretty insane already. We have arrived here to the first pond with one of the biggest waterfalls I've ever seen. And I'm going to go for a swim in this. Let's do this.
Danubia and I gave hitchhiking a shot, something that's actually pretty common in the region. Friendly drivers, wide open roads, and a shared sense of adventure. That's just part of the Chapada experience. I showed up with only the vaguest plan, quickly overwhelmed by just how much there is to see there. But within minutes of chatting with fellow travelers, I was swept into someone's plan for the next day.
Como é que você descobriu isso?
Uai, no mato.
No mato.
Tava no
Vivei.
mato, passei o dedo.
No spreadsheets, no stress. You know, sometimes the best trips are the ones that unfold on their own. One thing to note, for most trails you're gonna need a guide, not just to avoid getting lost, but because they add real value to the experience.
A coloração, a maioria, não é a rocha, são os fungos, né? Então, toda essa formação rochosa que vocês estão vendo aqui é a mesma lá do Vale da Lua.
Our guide, DAVI, didn't just show us the way, he brought the place to life with stories, insights, and a very consistent 420 vibe.
Hoje a gente acordou às 4 horas da manhã, entendeu? Caminhamos 4,5 km para chegar nesse mirante maravilhoso para assistir o nascer do sol. Saindo daqui, vamos à Cachoeira do Segredo, um dos atrativos mais visitados na Chapada dos Veadeiros hoje em dia. E partindo de lá, finalizar com chave de ouro, cartão postal, Vale da Lua, lugar incrível, vocês não perdem por esperar. Valeu.
The hikes were never boring with him around.
Vai na frente, pra vocês puxar o risco, senão eu vou subindo.
By now, you've already noticed the magic that this place has to offer, but now let's talk about the grind. Chapada isn't just about waterfalls and good vibes, it's also about pushing your limits. Whether you're rappelling down cliffs, hiking for 10 hours straight, or racing to cram in as many trails as possible before sunset, this place will test you.
Ooh, just went in the water for the first time and it was cold, but it was so nice. Feeling really refreshed right now. And now we're just waiting for the people to come down with the equipment because we're not taking a cart up. We're like gonna rope up, I think. So at the end of this trail, we're supposed to arrive at a place called Caracol, which in Portuguese means snail because it's a really unique rock formation. And I can't wait to see what it looks like. Apparently some water comes out of the rock as well. It should be pretty interesting.
Some wake-up calls are borderline insane. One morning I was up at 3:30 a.m. to hike to Mirante da Janela, a tough climb that ends in one of the most stunning sunrise views I've ever seen. But despite the intensity, what stays with you are the moments of stillness. One day we hiked for 5 hours on a trail called Sertão Zen, and at the end we reached a place that felt like pure paradise. We spent hours there. No social media, no noise, just waterfalls, untouched greenery, and complete silence. Of course, there are still adrenaline highs, climbing massive rocks, jumping from 10-meter cliffs. But it's all balanced out by that deep, grounding connection to nature. Nothing makes me feel more alive than that.
Muito legal.
As I mentioned earlier, I didn't arrive in Chapada with a detailed plan, just a rough itinerary pulled from ChatGPT. But once you're here, you realize quickly, there's way more to see than you could ever fit into a checklist.
Chapada dos Veadeiros, 6 a.m. Early start today. Just leaving the hostel now, grabbing some snacks and whatnot, and we are going on a 17-kilometer loop today, so it's gonna be a big one. Wish me luck.
Sure, some places are more touristic, certain trails get a little crowded, but then you arrive at a spot like Cachoeira do Segredo, and honestly, who cares? When you're standing in front of a waterfall that looks like it belongs in a fantasy film, the last thing you're thinking about is how many people took that same photo. That said, on most hikes we didn't see another soul outside our group. And that solitude adds something special. It feels more like exploration and not tourism. But back in town, it's a different story. That's where everyone reconnects, over dinner, a beer, or a cheeky caipirinha at a local bar. Yes, there are actual UFO mechanic shops in town, just in case your spaceship needs a tune-up. There's just enough infrastructure to be comfortable, but step outside town and you're right back in the wild.
You can literally come in and soak your feet here and feel the wrath of this huge, massive waterfall. I can barely see the screen because there's mist all over my face. You can see the mist blowing away here. Man, these spots are absolutely insane. Woo!
I've been to 50 countries now, and somewhere along the way I started overlooking parts of my own country. I've stayed in hostels all over the world, but doing it here with only Brazilians hit differently.
Fez foguinho?
Cappuccino e vai sair chá de gengibre com limão.
Oh, delícia.
Each conversation taught me something about a different region of Brazil, a different reality.
Tamanho do bico da bicha.
Caraca!
Deixa eu ver.
Yes, there are challenges, the cost of guides and transport, the remoteness of the region, but all of that only adds to the magic. It forces people to connect. You share rides, trails, stories, and even blisters.
É fora que ela segue, velho.
This is the Brazil no one really talks about. Most people don't even know it exists, and maybe that's why it feels so magical. There's still so much more to see at Chapada dos Veadeiros, and I hope to be back. But at the end of the day, I'm just grateful I got to experience a piece of Chapada dos Veadeiros. Of course, this was only a glimpse. If you want to feel what it was really like, the hikes, the cliff jumps, the chaos of getting around without a car, that story begins in the next one. So just click on the video that's on your screen and come along for the ride. I will see you right over there in 3, 2, 1.